No, don't please share your audio. That'd be so annoying.
Oh my god, me and Sam share audio too. We don't even know.
Yeah, sure. You're in the. If you want to be in the press briefing.
I just got my wisdom teeth out yesterday, all four of them. My face is all fat and
No one
hurt.
No one cares.
Did he
I'll
dope
just
you up or
interview
something, or
him.
no?
No, this is Major Buzzkill. He's a little doped up right now.
I got my T3s and popping pills.
Ibuprofen, man. Some fucking Motrin or some shit. Get doped up on that shit. They gave, like, they knocked my ass out. Like, they fucking, somebody laughing gas or something.
I was awake during the whole thing. It was the worst.
I want my phone charge. Good, my phone's at 1% and it refuses to charge. Which kind of is working on revoking because it failed. It's hilarious.
It's not failed at all.
It has completely failed.
No, not at all.
Oh, that's why like 90% of your citizens are reporting this straight deficits for like 10 years in a row. Why is my phone not charged?
Yeah, I don't know where it is.
That was just put on my ass. I don't know. I just know it's the working to get rid of it. Yo, I'm really triggered right now. My phone will not charge.
And you have plastic in your pocket in the summer.
Alright, so who? What?
I'm spawning right now.
Alright, can we get the other news stations in here, or are they not showing? Because I really don't care. I just want to get started.
I don't know what's going on with them. I'm not even sure what the hell Ferris is doing.
I gave him an opportunity. I mean, the main person I wanted was Eminem, obviously, because you're who I did with Battlefield 1. But if they don't want to show, they don't show.
Wait, we didn't do thing about Battlefield 1. Did we?
Well, no, Matt did it, but you helped run it.
Well.
We're running it.
What?
Where's your live?
I just put it on Twitter.
Cool. We're now on YouTube? Oh, on there. That's a gift.
I want to see the stream. The chat.
I see. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to load it so I can see the chat so we can do a live stream.
Oof.
Wait, viewers, probably myself.
You'll find Twitch on my phone.
Well, it counts for yourself, so obviously it'll be yourself.
Thank you, Sam.
Bamboozled. Okay, so I got just under 50% battery left on these batteries, and these are my last batteries in the house. So if I just randomly stop talking, it's just my battery's died, and I'll just call out the stream then. Okay. Is this Salty Squid or is it Internet?
Milsim News on Twitch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I use some Battlefield 4 servers. So you do this every time.
Pretty much. There's like a few times where
You
I actually go into
get someone
games.
to watch.
God, I get fucking distracted and shit. God.
Okay.
I want to hear the things being said. I don't want to hear my stuff at least.
Cool.
You
Let's get the word out.
Colonel.
Let's go. The live stream's happening now, dude.
Do you watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
No, don't watch your show.
Is that what I say? Cool. Because that's where you got it from, you little bitch.
It's not.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's his party too.
Shit. Oh, it's my face.
Wait, who's the new guy that runs
the three viewers that are
Back.
one of our Twitter page?
It's an NCO
What?
of which name I will not mention.
Oof.
His anonymity allows him to perform as he should, without harassment.
I don't know. I got like an alert earlier today saying the was it the fucking priest of Chase or some shit like that was following me. It's like,
Oh no, that's not one apart. That's just there's like 1,000 meme page just popped up on one apart the past like 3 months.
I had a meme page by myself. How about
Yeah.
I must be having a pretty good career to someone that needed necessary to make a meme page about me, and then today they decided that it was, you know, okay and appropriate. Fucking just rip up Ben or Ren of 5MR. Well, he wasn't.
Yeah,
5MR.
we should clarify that is not Senpai. That's a meme page that someone's using his name fraudulently. We can ask people to report it, so please do. Let's start at 2010.
Whichever works for you
You
guys.
said we start at 20.
Well, we had
20 minutes and 2 minutes.
20. Yeah,
Shut up, Sam.
You're great. It's great. All right.
You could just tell time now.
Still triggered about that Twitter.
Well, we can bring that up after we're gonna pick you if you want.
Yeah, I want to clarify that eventually at some point or another.
Hey, who was
Free.
it? What was the guy's name?
I don't really care about him. I just want to clarify the
What was
post.
the guy's name, Chase?
I don't know.
I want to call him out.
I don't know how much.
Step up.
Stop.
Almost Marine.
Let's go.
Fucking an almost Marine officer.
Let's go. Probably
Fucking
shouldn't be
almost
here.
Marine officer.
Wisdom teeth meds.
Adrian, just shut up.
Oof.
I will base. My mother.
What the fuck?
Should we go to another party? And
We are
let's
getting
go, let him
Oh,
handle his
Easy,
medicine.
I'm bored.
Shut up.
What we're gonna do?
Uh,
But he left me on cow. I was like, I don't play cow with anyone. So.
I crashed.
You don't want to play.
Oh.
sorry.
Oh my god.
Bless you.
I was coughing. How did that even sound like a sneeze?
Nah, it's actually better to say less due to coughing because sneezing's not a sign of sickness while coughing is.
I got that from Chase.
Oof.
The blessing
must be the
comes
cancer.
logically from the medieval ages when Black Plague was around. People assumed sneezing was an indication of the Black Plague. And in reality, it wasn't.
Can you get this rolling?
Starts in now, actually. Alright, let's quickly for doing any intro you want.
What? Shit.
Nice. This is your newscast, Squid. Do you have any interest in doing that?
Oh fuck. This stream is unofficially sponsored in part by Blackheart Rum.
Is that true?
What?
I said
Wait, you said
unofficially.
Oh, this is not a sponsor. Very well.
It's like all the
Alright,
alcohol.
I
I want to do an
consumption finally
unofficial
caught up.
sponsor for Jules.
Yeah, hey. There are people reporting that the quality is real bad right now. Should you reset your stream, Squid?
How many viewers you got?
He's running 9 right now because the quality's ass, they said.
9 people? Hey.
Is it voice quality or
Was
is
it? Is it?
gameplay quality?
Yeah.
The voice,
it's a
I'm listening to it and the voice is straight like robotic.
What do I sound like?
As always.
Should've said no one asked you.
But here, I'll.
Ooh, there's all these squid to stack some kid.
Oof.
Okay, yeah. The comms are god awful right now, Squid. Oh yeah, Squid, here's the party.
Would that help?
Would probably come out better.
Will
Will that
Okay, so
help?
why don't you host the party and we'll join you?
I don't know.
Will that help? I'll leave.
Oof.
I like a party.
Oh, huh. Okay. Test. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Or something. Can y'all hear us? Hear me? Yes, no, maybe. Okay, test. Hold on, I'm waiting for someone in the chat. Yeah. I figured it was the fucking,
Well, I'm listening, so here.
server shit. Oh.
That sounds much better. Sounds much better.
Oof.
Yeah, it's much better. Alright.
Yeah, that's fine. Your shit like, go play at the server, get him something to watch. Okay, fuck it. Oh god, the quality is
That
ass.
just causes your quality to drop. That's a
I
shame.
guess so.
You should
I'm
put on
only
a
like
GIF of
on
like,
one of 2 Wi-Fi points right now.
it's fine. Alright, well, make sure everybody ticks include your audio. Legend, Sandman. Yep, make sure you tick your request for audio. Alright, so good. So I guess we're restarting. This is your thing. Introduce as you wish, and then
You keep saying Spence. I don't know who the fuck that is.
I said squid. I said
Oh.
squid.
I thought you're saying fucking Spence. Like, who the fuck is Spence?
I don't know who Spence is. No.
Welcome to Take 2. Unofficially sponsored by Blackheart Rum. Gentlemen,
Nice.
let's go ahead and introduce yourself.
Alright, so hello everybody. Colonel Chase, First FR. With me today are Major Sandman and Major Senpai. Lieutenant Colonel Armada also provided his input, but because he lives in Pacific Standard, he's still working. He'll try to get here later if we're still going on, but we don't want to take up too much of everybody's time. The intent of today is to provide a press conference about the reality of Battlefield 5 and its potential for Milsim. The inspiration for doing so comes from one of ours taking great pride in its history of being one of the top definitions of the providers of Milsim. We take great pride in our academia and our emulation in Milsim. And we also did this for Battlefield 4 and 1, so to kind of become like a cultural thing for one of our to provide its input. We've seen videos and footage from E3, of course, and this is where we provide our information. And from there, we will provide our initial inputs, and of course, this is subject to change should we be able to play the beta. As of any proper press conference, we'll begin by providing the credentials for the speakers. We're going to omit the Lieutenant Colonel Armada portion, but just understand that, of course, he has great credentials as well. And so I'll begin with that. So, our board consists of 4 speakers who together bring forth a combined 42 years of experience. Each speaker has various commendations and backgrounds that suits them to provide a valued opinion towards the potential of Battlefield 5 as a Milsim. The first speaker, Colonel C. Chase, that's myself. I am a 13-year veteran of Milsim, having first enlisted in the USMC 22nd, which was the Marine component founders of Milsim on Xbox Live, the old JSF 223rd, which I warn not to be confused with the new one who steals their name. I had joined in 2005 during the last few weeks of Xbox Original. I had rose to the rank of private to staff sergeant and then earned my commission at the rank of second lieutenant in the 22nd, but the unit died. From there, I founded USMC First FR on April 22nd, 2008, making us the oldest Milsim on Xbox Live. I started First FR as a staff sergeant and grew in the rank to becoming a colonel, rank by rank. I have held the rank of colonel for over 7 years out of my 10 years in command, and I have commanded over 300 successful combat operations. I held the billet of Joint Supreme Allied Commander since the First and Second Inquisition Wars. I have multiple commendations, including multiple one-of-our ribbons and awards, a Silver Star, and being considered one of the founding fathers of Milsim. I'm also known to be the author of the first community rules of MSMSTR, the modified rules of Tracer, and then from came them the inspiration for the MCS and current communities. Concepts such as player versus player combat instead of against AI, hardcore settings as a minimum, no jet ramming, and no C4 VBEVs are some of the ideas commonly known to come from First FR's influence over Milsim. In real life, I'm a former U.S. Marine Lance Corporal. I have a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science with a focus on foreign policy and military policy, and I have a minor in German with a focus on German military history and German culture. I am currently attending a Master of Public Administration program while serving as a researcher of political processes, using Milsim as my dataset for my dissertation. After my master's, I will be moving on to my Juris Doctori in International Law and a Master in Business Administration. Next up is Lieutenant Colonel Armada. I'm going to keep his stuff short, but basically he's a 15-year veteran of Milsim, and he is my battalion executive officer, and he wishes he could be here, and he sends his warm wishes, and he's also considered one of the founding fathers of Milsim. He actually has been in Milsim longer than I have. Next up is Major A. Bird. Bird, aka Simpire Legend here, is a 7-year plus veteran of Milsim, 5 of which are within 1FR. He enlisted in 1FR 2013 during the Battlefield 3 era, and proudly promotes that he was a terminal lance in 1FR for 3 years until he earned his commission in 1FR's OCS. Bird now currently commands 1FR's infantry company and has achieved many ribbons and commendations across the years, including a Bronze Star from the Grand War, where 1FR fought and defeated over 65 Milsims in a 7-day-long conflict, taking only 2 losses, 1 draw, and over 62 wins in a row. In real life, Bird is about to achieve a Bachelor of Science degree in Political Science, with a focus in Foreign Affairs, and a minor in History with a focus in World War I to modern era. Lastly will be Major S. Santoro, but certainly not least. Santoro, aka Sandman here, is an 8+ year veteran of Milsim, all of which he has served in 1FR. Santoro enlisted in 1FR in 2010 and rose the ranks, becoming 1FR's most prominent pilots in Battlefield 3 and strategists in Battlefield 4 and Arma 3. Santoro has served in some capacity in over 200+ combat operations, and is most renowned for teaching his prestigious OCS program, of which over 47 different teams across the years have submitted their officers to come and learn. In real life, Santoro is about to achieve a Bachelor of Arts in Emergency Management and Homeland Security from the extremely prestigious Mass Maritime Academy, and Santoro has completed the real-life United States Marines OCS and will attend the basic school as a 2nd lieutenant in the late fall, early winter, depending whenever he gets that ship date. So again, those are your speakers today. I hope our credentials make you all okay with what we have to say about Battlefield 5. And then we're going to go from there. The format's going to be, we're going to provide the press release of which 1FR has organized together. And then we're going to open up to a Q&A where we're welcome for anybody to speak, type into the Twitter, and put in your questions. Alright? So, that breathing thing you guys hear in the background is also Legend. Doing his jewel. Most lovely.
Taking a hit from that.
Alright. Yeah, he is. Alright, so 1FR's speech on Battlefield 5. This is the press release that we formatted. So, 1FR takes great pride in its historic, decade-long dedication to emulation, realism, and military simulation. It is for this reason, and with high hopes, we hold this press release concerning the upcoming Battlefield 5 today, as we did when Battlefield 1 came out, Battlefield 4, and 3. We do so to spread the message of proper and true emulation versus the message of competitiveness and politics. We do so that we can help other units perform their military simulation correctly, and endeavor that all of us who emulate our veterans accurately, correctly, and honorably. We begin by reading the definition of Milsim. This definition is one of the first definitions known in Milsim history, and for many of you tuning in, it will be the first time knowing such definition exists. This definition has been denied by the modern community as it doesn't suit them in their tactical clan-based community. Either way, we bring to you the definition of Milsim, hoping it makes it easier for you to understand what Milsim is, and hoping this will help guide you towards what Milsim is and also understand our methodology. This definition was not created by First FR, it was created by the founders of Milsim themselves in 2001. This definition comes directly from the dictionary and also some values of which they hold. I quote the definition from 2001 being, Milsim, or military simulation, is and will forever be unchangeably defined as an organization, especially so, but not limited to one that is online, who demonstrates proper military tactics, show military and mature bearing and tact, who demonstrate a complete sense of realism to the actual military, and all who mutually respect, admire, and seek to honor the fullest extent the military. That is designed to look, feel, behave, and operate like the real solitary military unit that they model after, which utilizes a proper and formal training process of which must teach their respective military or military unit's history and culture, on top of legitimate tactics and discipline, of which holds a proper and accurate real-life based chain of command with supporting accurate rank structure, whose overall goal is to emulate, study, and train like their military unit to the fullest extent possible. That is the definition of Milsim. With this definition firmly in mind, this panel has come together to review and discuss the potential for Battlefield 5 to be Milsim. We hope to be non-partisan in our efforts in discussing this, and we start with the cons and then discuss the pros and finally end on a verdict. You have been read and reviewed the credentials of each member, and it is to be reminded that we together bring over 43 years of combined Milsim experience, that we have backgrounds in military service careers, and we have a variety of academic credentials and specialties in the very subject we approach: history and the emulation of military. From what you all came for, the cons of Battlefield 5.
You got a bit hyped.
Cons of
there, I
Battlefield
gotta
5 is
admit
easy to do. I'm sorry?
that. You got a bit hyped there for a second. I've never seen you this hyped.
The cons of Battlefield 5 is easy to do. We have decided to nitpick the game to it, and in doing so, we start with the first trailer. At the first trailer, the entire world has joined in on the meme of the female paratrooper with a robotic arm. I'm sure you all are all familiar with it. As heinous and as nasty as that looks, in itself, it doesn't affect Milsim as much as what it represents. Much of the true cons of Battlefield 5 are actually more neutral, provided that Milsims discipline themselves and deny the community at large the ability to act so freely and heinously. Provided the community maintains a mentality of historically accurate is the law and it is unbreakable, then many of these cons actually fall apart, and I want to remind everybody of that, you know? So the first con, historical inaccuracies in the battlefield. This list can become extremely arduous, extremely fast. So it is pertinent to speak generally and to remind that the more minor details such as weapon camos, sights, attachments, etc. need to be justified with legitimate historical proof and to be accurate. Just because 100,000 Mosins were found by a German battalion in some cache does not mean the entire German army was allowed to use Mosins. Alright, Battlefield 1 failed to the slippery slope logic, and Battlefield 5 could just as easily. I want to point out this is extremely flawed logic and is inherently non-Milsim. The common and appropriate thought process in how should a Milsim be armed should follow the logic of, was the weapon used en masse across the entirety of the said Milsim's branch? We should do well to remember that prototypes should be ignored and not utilized. That most attachments should be all but banned. When given the choice of the flashier new model or a decade-old model, posterity should be considered. We will make an example of the German army in mind, because that's my specialty, that's Bird's specialty, and it's also one of two factions confirmed in the game. But I want to dictate that this logic flows to every faction. So let's start with the STG-44, which is the Sturmgewehr Witzig. Battlefield 5's various trailers and early looks demonstrate that the Grenadier/Assault class using this weapon, overwhelmingly known as the first assault rifle. STG-44 saw only limited production and implementation. At best, only Sturmtruppen or Panzergrenadier saw standard issue, of which only one or two in an entire squad of 12, squad of 12 would have one. I want to remind you, out of 12 people, you might see only 2 STG-44s for Stormtroopers. Basic Wehrmacht troopers would not even see the STG-44 in the entire war. Alright? The whole reason why it's so heroicized again is because it's the first assault rifle. Most German infantry across the board, regardless of specialty, SS or Wehrmacht, saw standard issue carbine or 98K carbines or rifle pin. Let me point out, those are your bolt action rifles with no scopes. No scope bolt actions. MP40, which is Machine Pistola Witzig, were only issued to fireteam and squad leaders, and a sole MG34 per squad, if the squad was a defensive or support-oriented squad. Assault squads wouldn't get MG34s. Very rarely would MG42s be used as a squad automatic, because they simply weighed too much to be lugged around like that. They typically required a tripod to be truly accurate, and as such, saw implementation more akin to in-place weapon systems. Certainly you had the occasional trooper utilize it as a saw in last-ditch scenarios, but if we're trying to standard issue our troops, we would not give our troops MG42s as standard issue. We must maintain the proper logic of standard issue, not the mentality of happen once so we all can do it. Discipline is key in any and all situations of weaponry, attachments, camos, skins, clothing, etc. Historical accuracy is a responsibility across the board for all Milsims. There is simply no excuse not to be. It is recommended that Milsims, in order to require their men to have their characters to be as historically accurate as possible, down to the skin tones of their nations, their clothing, equipment, and of course weaponry and attachments. Just because something existed at the time does not mean it saw mass deployment. That's looking at you justifiers who are trying to have reflex sights and the likes on your weaponry. There should be no sights at all on your weaponry in World War II. Next up is the fielding of tanks. So the fielding of tanks is a mostly positive in comparison to the battlefields of prior. I do wish to speak on the rarity of some tank options, however, and that's a con. Sadly, Battlefield yet again forsakes realistic armor penetration values in exchange for a health bar system. This will lead to the reality that eventually someone's rogue hand grenade could kill a low health Tiger, which of course in real life would just leave a smug on the paint job, perhaps a bad earache for the crew. How this translates to tank combat is where we find an issue.
He cut off.
I think so.
Not exactly sure what happened there.
Controller
check,
died.
yeah, check the party real quick. See if he's
Yeah, we're
connecting.
good. I'm here.
Oof.
Alright, so, sorry for the long speech, everybody, but as I said, we had to give a proper press release. So, back to what I was saying. The reality of the health bar system is that Tiger tanks can get destroyed by grenades or light tanks, which it shouldn't. So, for example, we have the Valentine tank. The Valentine tank we have confirmed is the British's light tank. Alright? So, enjoying the luxury of which the health bar system is, the Valentine's tank common issue 40mm QRF 2-pounder, which is the confirmed armament from the videos, will simply barrage the Tiger to death. So here's how it's going to work. The 40mm in real life would bounce off the Tiger. You would almost never see a penetration, alright? But in Battlefield 5, you're going to see it do, constant hits for 10 damage, whatever its damage is, right? So this is akin to that of an LAV-25 engaging Abrams. In real life, that would just not freaking happen. But in Battlefield, it happens, alright? So this is a problem across the board we have at Battlefield, and I just want to remind everybody that in Milsim and the calm mentality to play the game more honorably and realistically than MLG matches. We must be willing to sacrifice ourselves and our enjoyment and our effectiveness to be realistic. So when you're in a scenario where you are a Valentine versus Tiger, your Valentine 90% of the time should die. That's a problem that it doesn't, and so that's why it's one of the cons of Battlefield 5. Also, likely the most heinous of Battlefield 5 is an attempt to be flashy. Battlefield has demonstrated this in its trailers and gameplay in a couple of ways. The first would be the implementation of extremely rare prototype vehicles, and this is arguably one of the greatest reasons why I'm against Battlefield 5 at this point. In the trailer videos, we see the Sturm Tiger. Alright, let me clarify. Only one Sturm Tiger existed in the entire World War II. A single
At the end of the
Sturm
war,
Tiger.
19 were in production and 1 was produced.
Yes.
And it only
18 were produced, yes.
combat in the defense of Berlin.
Well, you said Stern
So-
Tiger. Wait, is that the King Tiger?
That's
or-
the super
so
tank.
they have-
No, that is
So
not the
now they
King
have
Tiger.
so now they have it where if you're not your
Jesus.
like your Battlefield squad, if it does extremely well, it gets to deploy in these bonus Battlefield vehicles. So the British get the Churchill Crocodile tank, which is the flamethrower tank, versus the Storm Tiger, which is a tank with like a fucking 280mm cannon or some shit like that.
No, it fires a 380mm dual propulsion rocket. It's meant to be an assault gun, and only one ever served in combat jammed.
Quick question.
So back to what I was saying though. What?
If knowing how Battlefield is with like doing like secret weapons and prototypes, do you think they're gonna add the mouse?
Maybe. Actually, they added the fucking. There was more mouses in the Sturm Tigers. Actually, there was like 3 mouses in World War II.
They're supposed
So
to
at
be
this rate,
also what they
there's
call
a,
rats.
there's a 300. The Rata, yeah, which was never even
That was
made
just a
off
paper
the-
tank,
They had
really.
a blueprint. So
Yeah,
it was pretty much
paper
yeah.
existed.
it was a mouse with two
The rat
turrets.
tip.
So
not two
my
turrets, but
No,
assumption
two
for
barrels.
the,
the rat
being
the
in
rat tip was literally the
Battlefield
size
would
of a
be,
fucking battleship.
like Battlefield
Yeah.
1 on the DLC. Remember how they have like the Battlefield tanks where they're like fucking massive, these massive World War One era tanks that just roll around the battlefield, destroying everything, kind of like the behemoths. So that's what I would assume the mouse would be something along that sort if it was added. And then go down to gameplay itself. The only gameplay map that I have seen so far is in Norway, which the Norway campaign happened in 1940, and it was like early April to early June, which is great and everything, but the Tiger 1 is actively deployed in it, and the STG-44 is actively deployed in it, and both weapons were made in 1942.
Hmm.
So, I don't fucking know what DICE is doing, but another problem that I also see that really bothers me so far is that the tanks that you deploy in is based off what side you're spawning. And we've already seen through gameplay that weapons for infantry is not like that. Same with
Well, hold on.
towed guns.
With that note, all right. So you're gonna see the reality of unrealistic tank warfare. So in Battlefield 4, we had this notoriousness where the M1 Abrams was getting rocked by shit-ass Chinese T-90s that would never rock it ever. You know, it's just shit like that, right? Same here. You're gonna have Valentines rocking Tigers. You're gonna have Panzer IVs getting rocked by Churchills. You know, Churchills are an infantry support tank, shit like that. You know, and so the reality is, across the board, we already know Battlefield 5 is gonna fuck up tanks. We already know it. So I just want to implore to everyone that you do not use prototypes. That does not make you Milsim. If you use prototypes, you're instantly not Milsim. And you need to control your tankers. You need to teach your tankers how to properly be tankers using the tank that they have. If you're an infantry support tank and you know it, you should be fucking fearing other tanks, not charging them head on. And that will be an indication of your Milsimness. I want to finish up the prepared speech, and then we can get onto the QA and shit, but that's just the mentality there. Is just that if you're Milsim, you do not use prototypes, and there should be not a single prototype utilized in this gameplay. Moving on to probably the most heinous, and I want to make a note of this, is the V1 rocket. All right, the V1 rocket system in this game
That's
is
cool.
implemented as some form of World War II cruise missile. Fuck no, it's not cool. All right, gameplay footage has shown it is called devastating accuracy and destruction, but it's so unrealistic. All right, in real life, the V1 was extremely inaccurate, and it was only utilized as a general area bombardment weapon. It's meant to be a weapon of terror versus anything else. All right, the V1 is a dumbfire rocket. This means you fire it in the general direction of which you want it to explode. Germany literally just said, hey, point it at Britain and press fire. There's no way you can precision call in a V1 rocket. All right?
Yeah, they pretty much most of
So,
them just ran out of fuel and then they just fell to the earth in
Yeah,
the UK.
they just crashed. That's literally what they're designed to do.
Unless
They
you that one,
designed it based off the fuel.
Unless you that one
No,
Spitfire
it was never
pilot
used
who
once
just actually
in war.
tipped the wing and it made it crash.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
believe they actually
The
shot
thing
it
is
down in
trash.
the air. Just,
So-
they
so-
just engaged it.
So the point
he
is,
died by that, but he just
no
like, tipped
German
the
team
wing.
should use this ever. Regardless of some Spitfire pilot doing anything, it doesn't really matter. It's not
yeah,
Milsim. What's
um,
important is that no German team should use it ever. There is no potential for it to be utilized as a weapon of war because there's no way you can get it guaranteed within the first 50 miles of the area which you're trying to engage. Its area of range of guarantee is 125 miles from the wanted target. That was its area of effectiveness. It was guaranteed to hit within 125 miles of where you aimed. That is no way, shape, or form able to be utilized in Battlefield as a precision-guided missile. And if German teams try to argue, oh, we had that, or better yet, Russian teams, when they're going to try to claim they captured them, it's absolutely infallible logic and is not Milsim. V1 rockets or any weapon of that sort should not be utilized. At best, maybe if they had Panzerwerfers, you know, Stuka firing weapons. Those are much more realistic. Katuskas. Those are realistic prototype weapons they should be able to call in. But V1's absolutely not, and there's no excuse for it.
Oh, man.
And to close up on the cons. All right, I want to close up on the cons before we open for con questioning. Airborne operations is something that's concerning me as well. All right, in real life, airborne operations were division-sized. All right, in nature, they were massive operations. They were not 32-man mid-combat insertions like the warfare's already going on. They're dropping boys on deck. All right, the only argument you could have for this would be like Operation Market Garden, in which still it was divisional-sized. Now, of course, you could argue that Battlefield 5's operations gameplay, which are like commando raids and stuff as we've seen, gives you that, and absolutely it does.
So if the game gives you the ability to spawn out of an aircraft in mass, that's perfect. But utilizing your Lancaster bomber or something as a C-47 is not acceptable, and airborne troops should not be doing this whatsoever. There really should be no parachuting in this game, except for the initial spawn.
The only time you see people jumping out of a Lancaster is the damn thing's on fire.
No, you go down with your ship. That's Milsim 101. You go down with your ship. Alright, that's people who
They even
argue
did
for against
that. They
that don't
did
understand the
that
inherence of
in
Milsim.
World War II. Like you see people try to control, like they could control it long enough to where
I mean, either way,
a lot of people can jump out, and that one guy goes down. Then, yeah, if
So
they do that,
the problem is that it's not the entire crew. It's always one person. It's always convenient, right? Well, you can't allow for conveniences. Basically, unless the entire crew is going down with the ship, no one should be jumping out of the ship. Alright, and that's how you prevent people from just doing airborne insertions like heinous. Also, I want to reiterate, if there are airborne operations and you are doing it, Halo jumps didn't exist. You pull your chute the second you're out that door, and if you get shot, you get shot. Alright, that's you airborne teams. So here's the deal. I could continue with the cons, but you get the gist. Almost everything relies on you as a player and your team to be disciplined and realistic. Unlike Battlefield 1, where the entire game was hard to be Milsim because its very nature of World War 1 denied the aggressive combat system that's Battlefield, Battlefield 5 is a combined arms game, and as long as you're not a trash Milsim, you can be good. Take historical accuracy to heart and rules in the heart, and you can be a great game. Now I want to give this game some pros, too. Alright?
Yeah, I was actually about to ask you about
emplacements.
that.
Alright? First and foremost are emplacements, right? That's Milsim's wet dream. I don't know about any of you, but I've been waiting for this since day one of Milsim. The ability to place sandbags, tank traps, barbed wire, machine gun emplacements, and towed weapons. Outstanding. I want to clarify something to weapons. Tanks do not tow things. Mechanized or motorized vehicles do. It's what Motor T's for. You should never use a tank to tow. You shouldn't do it. Alright? Also, if a weapon is being towed, it should not fire. It needs to be untowed to fire. Alright, so
Yeah, I don't
those are
think a
little
Pac
things that are
47
really
can fucking
important.
fire on the move.
Yeah, so those are really important things that we need to make sure we control in our community. And if you see that shit, that's basically our modern day version of C4 jeeping, right? It's heinous. It shouldn't be allowed. So let's take this great thing that we have, the emplacements that's coming up, and let's do it right. And as Legend had hinted earlier, I really hope that it's not just German packs across the board. I really hope they give the Americans, M57s and shit like that, shit like that, because otherwise it'll just be ugly. Secondly, tank and aircraft now have limited ammunition and rounds. That's just perfect across the board. It's too bad they don't make the aircraft land, but we take what we get.
Wait. Oh,
I just really hope tanks have the ability to.
Never mind.
What? No, what?
No,
What?
like when you said land, I was about to say yeah they do, but I remember the
No, there's no airfields in
yeah
Battlefield 5, from
what
what
was
we've
it?
seen.
They had to fly through a symbol that's floating in the air.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
symbol that's floating in the air, and then for tanks, I believe tanks somehow fucking the support kid just carries around tank cells on his back, which I think.
I
from
think
what I've
I
heard
think they have
is
to go back
that-
to the base though.
No, you can so certain flags are support place or are capture zones, and then I believe there's also nerfs to the repairing while you're in the tank as well. You cannot repair anymore to full health. You require like a support kit to repair you to full health now. So a little plus
so
there.
I mean, as long as the tanks don't just act like artillery pieces, it'll be great. I think tanks and aircraft have a great thing. I just really hope they can maybe change rounds. I don't know. All right, the final note of the pros: infantry combat. All right, we all seen that every grunt can now pick each other up, and medics and corpsmen have a full revive ability. So now there's a reason to have medic and corpsmen MOSs. Squad cohesion is more necessary because ammunition is realistic, and even machine guns have an overheat feature where you change up the barrel. It's very realistic. So now it's going to force the machine gunners, instead of doing a 100-round burst, to do realistic 3 to 5 or 5 to 10 shot burst. Just ensure that your squads are appropriately geared and realistically geared out. So basically, if you have any questions on how should my unit be geared out, the more realistic the better. No scope bolt action for standard issue rifles across the board. Every single country who had standard issue semi-automatic weaponry was America. Every country after that, bolt actions. There's arguments for the SVT-40, the type whatever the fucking Japanese weapon, and also the Gavir 43. All of those were not mass produced. The Gavir was utilized as almost like a DMR. It's sniper, actually. Only their special snipers got them. And the SVT-40 was only for the Commissar's defense. All right, his defense teams. You never saw them. It's always Mosins and Kar 98s. So if you're German or Russian or anything of the sort that basically comes from Europe, including British, you're 90 to 95% of your men need to have a bolt action weapon with no scope on it, and that's a fact. All right, Battlefield 1 tried this really fucked up system of, oh, you get 3 light machine gunners, 3 submachine gunners. No, you do not need to do that way. You need to do it where it's 90% of your men have bolt actions, and then the rest might get something else. All right. Just again, historical accuracy and historical realism is what's important here. All right. So I just want to reiterate one last time before we give Wanafar's decision against the siren call, the false sirens call of heinous prototype weapons and weird clothing and equipment or unhistoric concepts such as race, sex, or the likes of that in the nature. You know, not Milsim. Make your shit realistic. Wanafar's a rule where your character must look like reasonably your person. And the women in Wanafar, if they want to do combat, they got to be a male character. That's not sexist. That's historic. All right.
I kind of.
And I want.
Oh shit.
What? Well, I wanted to warn against one thing as well. And this is from someone who lived in Germany,
go ahead.
someone who studied German culture, someone who understands the German language. Don't be the SS. And this is for multiple reasons. All right. First off, the SS was just a militarized branch of the Socialist Party that was the Nazis. Nazis are socialists. They're not conservative like you get taught. They're socialists. That's what Nazi stands for, National Socialist, right? Essentially, these are a bunch of whiny rich kids who are bought fancy tanks and guns, all right? You're basically just a World War II version of Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders and Antifa, you know? Also, Battlefield 5 has already openly stated anyone conducting or promoting anti-Semitic, which is anti-Jewish, activities, or the likes, such as representing the SS, will be immediately banned from their game. Alright, Milsim's too popular now. We have 3 news stations going on 4, 5, 6. Alright, you make your Twitter pages. If you make an SS team, you're just going to get banned from not just Milsim, but from frickin' Xbox Live. Battlefield is, let's be honest here, too politically correct nowadays to allow that kind of shit, and you're just going to make a target for yourself. Also, despite common beliefs, the SS was shittily armed. All right, they did not have the best gear, all right, and they did not work well with the Wehrmacht. So I just advise heavily against being an SS unit. All right.
I really want to.
So here's Wanafar's verdict. Here's Wanafar's verdict, and I'm done ranting. All right, I had to prepare a speech with Lieutenant Colonel Mata, get his thoughts across, but here's Wanafar's verdict. Provided that a Milsim unit, its players, make a constant and conscious effort to be respectful and to fully emulate their faction as realistically and honorably and correctly as possible, provided that they teach the history and culture of their unit, their branch, and their country they emulate, provided that they are here to be Milsim, to not play politics or just to win battles like many Milsims we know today, then Battlefield 5 shows the highest potential for a video game to be Milsim since Battlefield 3. I would even argue it beats Battlefield 4. It's important that we remember just because we call ourselves Milsim doesn't mean we are. We must ask ourselves, do we meet the definition? Do we rate? Just as we ask the others the same. Alright, we all know the definition was read to you. A community, I remind you all, is a group of people with common values that have common unity, community. Ours being realistic emulation of and honoring history, culture, and veterans. If you do this, and you surround yourself with those who do, not just those who win battles, then you too will be actually Milsim on Battlefield 5. See, right now, Battlefield 5 is only British and German, so Wanafar can't go there immediately. But as soon as America's on there, Wanafar will be there. Alright? So that's our verdict. We say Battlefield 5 can be Milsim, just you gotta do it correctly. And we will be, I think people should be policing that. You know, no more politics, no more bullshit, but actual emulation. This is the Q8 part, so any questions whatsoever, or any comments whatsoever, feel free to bring them out.
First question is tackling what we talked about earlier, the Twitter issue. Legend, you want to comment on that? Like saying
My
things?
comments on that is that I didn't even think that. To be honest, my Milsim experience was I did 2 years in the 7th Cav on Arma. It was fun there, and then I came to the Xbox when my computer took a shit on me. I pretty much been serving one at far since.
You and I had the same computer.
No, I mean I had a desktop at one point.
Oh.
I've been through like 10 computers in the last like 3 years. It's real rough. I really don't even know how to state it because I guess I've now grown to a point that I deem a fake Twitter about me to talk shit on the internet because that's what someone found it is that I guess I'm that much of an asshole or I'm that inherent in I use the word community not to talk about the MCS community, but the community of Milsimers, so people who just play Milsim, doesn't matter what community you belong in. So I guess I've just become that apparent. My comments on it, I've already spoke to Replays about it. He brought it up to me today because once again, I hardly ever get on Twitter. So my only comment on it would be that I'd have to assume that it was someone previously or currently in 5MR that did it. I don't mean any bad words to 5MR about this, but the guy that he attacked today was Ren. I have no fucking idea who Ren is.
He was
and he proceeds to
former 5MR that he did a lot of their media things like video promos and shit.
I've never spoke to the man. I talked to Replays about it, and whoever it was, they have to know a decent amount about Ren because they went fucking hot on the kid today, which was just so fucking atrocious that I don't even know how to. It's awful. Like everyone gets their hard times in life, and Ren's having a hard time in his life, and this guy was like, you know what? Let's make it worse. So whoever it is, fuck him.
Any like?
That's my.
Do you have any idea who it might be? Any like disgruntled former members of one
it's
of our...
my belief. I mean, we have no way to prove who it is or isn't. It's my belief. It's actually 101A. Now, bear in mind, when I say that, I mean it's state organized. It's most likely Faticus top. I have no idea. But just as people like to make meme pages against people they don't like, I think they do too, because it's obviously there's a Cold War going on. And a lot of their men don't like 1FR, and a lot of 1FR's men don't like 101A. I have no way to prove that, but it would be the only one that makes logical sense.
Earlier, when that whole shitstorm was going on Twitter, like I heard the rumor was going around that it's possible that it was probably Animal Mother. I'm not sure if he's still with you guys or not.
No. Animal Mother is AWOL. Because the thing is though, is that account has to it knows Legend reasonably.
It
like,
knows
not
me
closely, but
so whoever
reasonably.
it was is Old Blood 5MR because they know my last gamer tag. Or so they, and I mean I didn't even talk to 101A 2 years ago, and I haven't had that gamer tag in a while. So they know that, but they can't be in 1FR because I got promoted to major, and it took them like 3 weeks of actively tweeting out to finally figure out
to realize
that,
he got
hey,
major.
that guy's a fucking major.
Yeah, so that's
I don't
someone we
update my
don't have
line chat, so
close contact
like,
to, but they keep close eyes on us.
Yeah.
So, and it's only like 1 or 2 teams, so that's why I say that. But I don't know, we can't do it. Doesn't matter. Point is, it's just you need to make sure you all report that account. It does heinous things. It represents 1FR badly, but also Milsim badly, and that's not Legend, you know. We have a live tweet here. Give me an example that what? Why is 1FR racist? We're not racist.
The
We're actually the very
champion
first
was
Milsim.
asking about that. Like,
We're
why
actually
is
the very
1FR
first Milsim
racist
to
and sexist?
enlist a African American male. You guys act like that's something like not rare, but back in the old days it actually was. Very first Milsim to do that. Very first Milsim to give an African male a NCO, SNCO, and commission position. Very first Milsim to enlist a woman, and very first Milsim to give a commission to a woman. So we are neither racist nor sexist, and we created an excellent history. And if I was racist, then my third in command would not be half black and half Korean. Woody Legend.
Hello.
And then my battalion XO would not be half
Zuma.
Mexican, and my sergeant major would not be 100% Mexican, and my prior lieutenant colonel would not be 100% Chinese, and the list goes on. 1FR is probably the furthest thing from racist and sexist because we're the very first Milsim in Milsim history to have a rule against racism and sexism. That was all the way back in 2008 we had that rule. So I would highly disagree with that notion that we are racist and sexist. Coffee. Any Battlefield 5 pertinent questions from the live tweet, or feel free to ask any of yourself, Squid.
Sure, I can shoot out a couple. Now, we all know that from the reveal that they said that they're going to be doing multiple theaters of war. So they're pretty much going from, like I said this a while back, I forgot what episode, I forgot on the stream that I brought it up. They're going to start at the fall of Europe and go all the way down to the end of World War II completely.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
with that different theaters of war comment, we could expect there's going to be a Pacific War, and you're also going to see the Americans in Europe.
So I don't know how
so-
they're doing it because it's weird, you know.
So my expectations for the DLC would obviously be.
And there's no premium.
in order.
Russia will be second.
So it would start with the fall of Europe. So obviously it'd be French and UK troops.
I don't think French is
going to be a
Poland
fucking
and
I don't
game.
think French is gonna be in the
Yeah.
game.
French
They're
is
not
going to be in the
gonna
game. They
either.
probably won't even waste time with Poland just because how short of a campaign it would be. So
French
the
is
first
not gonna
DLC
be
that I'd have
short.
to assume would be
Russia.
they would add
I'm saying
Italy,
Russia.
probably. I would say Italy and
Well, the
Greece.
Italian campaign.
they
is
wouldn't
not
add the
factored in.
Greeks.
If they're going to do like
They're
Britain
adding
and
the
Germany
Greeks.
at the launch, that means you could expect Dunkirk.
Yeah. So I expect Dunkirk. So I expect the push.
But Dunkirk
west.
wasn't a big battle.
It wasn't.
Yeah,
a
but
big
it
battle,
was
but-
it was legendary, and
But it wasn't a big battle.
it wasn't a big battle, but fuck, what was the word for it? Memorable.
It was an
or-
important.
It was an
event,
important.
But I want to call it
Yeah,
a-
largest
a battle
naval
because
evacuation.
because mostly British troops were stuck on obviously the beaches, and French was left to repel the German onslaught. Pretty much.
Actually,
like
even
the
more
French
historically,
Spartans.
was that Hitler. No, that's not even the case. The French, in World War II, honest to God, they were great in the Maginot Line, but the part in Dunkirk they failed. But in World War II, Hitler wanted to test and prove the
That gives us some
ferocity of
vitamin
the
to
Luftwaffe. He wanted to prove that, and he said, "Let's do that by killing everybody at Dunkirk with just the Luftwaffe." So he made his entire Panzer divisions and his fucking mechanized divisions hold a giant circle around Dunkirk and just hold a line and let the Luftwaffe barrage. They could have took Dunkirk in a second, but they didn't. So if Dunkirk's gonna be in the game, it's gonna be only an air battle because it was not ground combat whatsoever. The fucking Wehrmacht and shit literally held a line and didn't advance. There was no battle there. Now my theory, what's going to happen, as you said, the theater conflict. I don't think they're going to do it historically based off time, like this year. I think they're going to launch it per theater of war. You know, so they're going to.
But if you're going to
probably
do World War
the
II,
first
you
or second
cannot
DLC.
ignore Pacific.
Exactly. No, I agree.
Without a
Totally
doubt,
Pacific,
no.
because
So
they've already
they're
confirmed
obviously gonna have
Japan
US
and
Marines.
America.
Without a
Especially
Yeah,
when it
they've already
comes to
confirmed
Japan, like
America.
I'm already excited because there's a unit that's gonna be doing it Imperial Japanese Navy. Thing is, like, one of the weapons Jayan used was called a chitin, or I hope I pronounced it right. I probably butchered it. It was pretty much this human guided torpedo, and I could fucking look it up. I was reading a book and fucking.
Kind of like
They showed-
kamikazes.
It's pretty much
Talking about the-
underwater kamikaze,
it's-
really.
Yeah, it was a boat.
Because
It's kamikaze.
I know
I
I saw,
actually
I saw
don't
a
think
picture of one
Battlefield's
actually.
going to
was
allow and
a
employ kamikaze
LST.
warfare.
It was a LST that was struck by a chitin. It was on some boat.
But the thing is, though, I don't think.
Philippines.
I really don't think Battlefield's going to allow kamikaze-based warfare or suicide-based warfare because it doesn't suit the gameplay style, which is about tickets and not about ground control. Kamikaze warfare only
Ooh,
works in
this
ground
guy.
control-based mentalities. This is Varner, right? It only works in ground control-based gameplays. All right, well, who owns the most land? Well, Battlefield's not based off that kind of gameplay. So to have it where it's based off tickets, where life is a ticket, they're not going to have a method for people to mass spawn and kill themselves. It's not going to be effective. Yeah, I really don't think they're going to have kamikaze-based warfare. Also, it's kind of PC to allow kamikaze. It wouldn't be there. Will the Japanese army be there? Yes. Japanese Navy? Yes. And they fought ferociously. They'll have samurai charges, maybe. But I really
I
highly
want to
doubt,
see the
knowing
Battle
the
of
political
Sable
nature
Island,
of Battlefield.
or hell, I want to see Midway or something.
Yeah. So,
Can we start
yeah, so
bumping some people out of the
can we
parties?
lock the party, Squid? Yeah. So,
Yeah. Wait, who you want me to remove?
So, Varner. would be appropriate, and champ would be appropriate.
Champ, I believe, joined.
While you do that, while you do that, I will think. I think it's gonna go this way: Russian DLC first, Pacific DLC, Africa/Italy DLC, Europe American DLC. I think it's gonna go that way.
Do you think there could be two parts to the African DLC to where, like, Italy's having
I think it's
trouble,
gonna be Africa
but
and Italy
it's
combined.
like it could be like part one would be like Italy's fighting, and then they're running into problems, and they got the Germans coming in. Then part two being the U.S. Brits and some French driving out the Germans. Do you think it'd be two parts or just one big DLC?
I mean, they can do an entire match with an entire theater in Battlefield 1. So I think they're going to have like a Battle of El Alamein or Kasserine Pass maps for Africa, big 2 ones, and then they're going to have Monte Cassino and maybe, you know, one of the beaches.
No, they do
Italy.
Italy. You're going to do the invasion of Sicily.
I think they're going to combine them, dude.
But yeah, I think the campaigns for the release, what they're gonna do is they're gonna do like a start of the campaign and then an end of the campaign and 2 separate DLCs. So one DLC will literally cover the beginning to the end. So you'll see fighting in Africa and slowly lead to the invasion of Sicily, and then the fall of Monte Cassino and the fall of Italy overall.
Operation
See,
would be like
we're forgetting
one
the
DLC.
economics of Battlefield, though. See, the reality is they announced Battlefield's DLC is going to be free this year. What does that mean? That means they're going to try to do as little DLC as possible. Because that's work that's going unpaid, basically. They're not making money off of it. So they're going to want to do as little work as possible. So I can only see 3 or 4 DLCs with this game. And frankly, I think they're going to try to combine things. So you're going to have the entire Russian front as one DLC, the entire Pacific front is one DLC, the entire European front is one DLC, and the entire Italy-Africa campaign is one DLC. And
no, if they do just that, it's
which they might be.
Not gonna. It's not like if they're gonna do just that. It's just gonna be pretty much Battlefield 1 repainted.
That's what it is.
Recovered.
It's a reskin of Battlefield 1. Yeah, it's what it is.
reskinned.
Battlefield 1.
But if they actually like,
honestly,
the
Battlefield
hype
1
that
was a
they're
reskin
putting
of
into
World War
this
II.
game, like I'm kind of optimistic.
I would expect.
I could see them doing.
You
Like,
have to look at the
I'm
big
going off. I'm
battles, so-
dead set on what they said during the reveal that they're going to do all theaters. So I'm expecting, like hell bent on expecting them to go like at Pacific Theater, because they do that. You're going to see Guadalcanal, Philippines, Okinawa, Iwo Jima, and hell, toss in Midway for shits and giggles.
I would not say Midway because Midway's the reason why they're not going to do Midway is more famous for
the Navy battle, but
turkey
the-
suit.
Or
It was
Wake
more
Island, what
famous
about
for
that?
because it was the first battle fought where the opposing navies had no line of sight of each other. It was purely
That was the
aircraft.
That's
It
the
just
Battle
set
of
the
Coral Sea.
dominant. Oh shit, you're right. Fuck me. But yeah, I mean, still the Marianas turkey suit.
Mariana's
Because they
turkey
can't do
was- yeah.
because they figured out through Battlefield 3 that they cannot do DLC where it's like this is an armored DLC, we're only using tanks, fuck everything else, and they can't do that for the Navy and they can't do that for the Air Force.
Well, what about turning
So you have to
tides
look at the
for
battles where
BF1?
you have full assets.
Like BF1
What?
Turning Tides, I loved that DLC. I played the fucking shit out of it. And
Yeah, but it wasn't. As far as
it wasn't
I know,
mainly
Turning Tides
wasn't
did not have a
mainly
full
Navy,
naval
but-
game.
Yeah, it wasn't mainly naval, but it was pretty much a good portion. Like half was ground infantry.
Yeah.
Quarter of it
Um,
was air, and quarter of it was naval.
Another
Like,
thing
when
that
they
I
added
would like
to
to
the
see coming
fucking
from Battlefield
destroyers,
1
when they added
is
destroyers
grand
on the hood,
operations. I know they can't be really actively used in Milsim, unless you just have your entire fucking team join a grand operations server and just wait for the other team to get folded out, pretty much. And you just gonna have to play against randoms, obviously, because they don't have those
That's how it
closed
used to be
servers, as far as I
Battlefield
know. Which is cool, but I think grand operations on naval invasion maps would be great. Like Iwo Jima doing a grand operation for that map, stuff like that would be pretty awesome. once again, it won't be added to Milsim, sadly. But
I mean, you can
Sure.
test it
there's
out.
a lot of things that could be
and try to
cool
make
in
it
the
work.
game for that your team can do as, just events. But I mean, you can't be like, oh, like you said, there's a Japanese team, so we're Marine team, they're Japanese team. Let's go to war. Boom. Okay. Well, it would be like logically thinking a team of 32 guys that are mentally like put together and a team of 32 guys mentally put together on a naval invasion map. Like it's already kind of sided to the defending team. Because unlike in real life, where U.S. was like, "Hey, we got our navy here, we got our giant air force here, we're just gonna grind down this island in like a 5-month campaign."
Fucking bombard.
You got like
the shit out
half
of
an
it.
hour on battlefield, so it won't be like logical to be a Milsim. But if you want to schedule something with your team where you guys just fall into like a public one, I feel like your team could benefit from that. I feel like it'd be really cool for the historical accuracy a little bit, other than the fucking random retards on the opposing team. But I don't see any DLC specifically focusing on the naval conflict. So, teams that do plan on making navies, I understand that you are kind of in the idea where you wanted to make a naval based team.
Oh hell yeah! I am.
It'd be good, but the problem is you're probably only going to get like one battleship, maybe, or it's not going to be a battleship. It's going to be like one destroyer,
But
or like cruiser.
they're more likely going to be doing like battleships, like behemoths. As to what kind of battleships we're going to see, the old battleships that were resurrected from Pearl Harbor, or if we're going to see North Carolina class, South Dakota, or Iowa class battleships, we don't know. I was discussing. This
I'd
with
like to see a fucking
buddy of
Des
mine.
Moines. That'd be tight if I got to see a Des Moines fucking show up.
Des Moines was actually produced.
Was it produced after the war? Please don't tell me
It was it's towards the end of the war. It never saw combat.
Damn.
Yeah, it missed
a
the
beast,
war.
though.
So did Midway, the aircraft carrier.
But yeah, I can
but
see
pretty much, like,
if
what-
you're willing
what-
to like sacrifice the ability where you won't have like if you want to be a support asset for a unit, like I guess your best classification would just be an attachment. I could
here's-
see
here's the
people
thing, the
making
group I
naval-based
was-
teams.
The group I was planning on making is 7th Fleet. That's my old stomping ground. So that's I'll station on board the 7th Fleet flagship, Blue Ridge, and like I want to do that. 7th Fleet's was created during World War II, and their primary
Are they stationed
role,
off the coast of Japan right now?
yeah, headquarters for 7th Fleet is stationed on board USS Blue Ridge in Yokosuka, Japan.
Thought so.
Yeah, they're
From
overpacked on anyways.
yeah, from the international date line to the Indian, like I believe it's just the tip of India south. That's the AOR for 7th Fleet.
The 7th Fleet. Yep.
Yeah, you can look
And
at the whole
what,
map
like-
anyways. They brought back First Fleet anyways, or Second Fleet, whatever one that was discommissioned as well. There's all map
Go
on
ahead.
it though. Yeah.
Yeah, like 7th Fleet's role is pretty much just amphibious operations. Cool, like with that, they also did have destroyers, so and aircraft carriers. Granted that the 7th Fleet carriers were, if I'm not mistaken, jeep carriers as they call them. It was still tasked like anti-submarines and anti-personnel ordnance. They also did have anti-ship ordnance as well. So you can switch out for like torpedoes, bombs, depth charges, which depth charges wouldn't be necessary because we all fucking know that there's not going to be a damn sub in fucking Battlefield.
Yeah. So your best bet is so what I would assume for ships, because they're gonna have ships in the game, they're an important part of the war. Obviously, they're not gonna let you just man an aircraft carrier. It makes no fucking sense.
You're going to
So I'd
spawn
expect
in
something
carrier
kind of
aircraft though.
like Cape Helens. Yeah, you could definitely spawn an aircraft aircraft. So like Battlefield 1 operation, I think it's Cape Helens. I think where you get to spawn. It's actually a vehicle. It's not counted as the behemoth, but the destroyer that you can spawn in. That's
The
like a 3-man
L-class
ship,
destroyer
I
used by
think.
the Royal Navy.
Yeah.
Yes, I know that one.
So that's what I would assume that they would do for the naval maps on Battlefield 5. Would they
Yes.
allow those things just to sail around? And then
Thing
if
is,
I was
what kind of
like,
what
once again,
class? We use more than one class of
Yeah.
destroyers. Although
That's a
the
problem. They're gonna
Fletcher
give you
was a
one
big
cl-
part.
They're not going to give you like 4 ships out there because I mean, if you think about it, if they're all
Well, yeah,
3
whichever
mans
one
and you have
they
like 4 ships
whichever
out there,
one
you're
they choose,
fucked.
you have to look up and compare. It's like, all right, which one? What does it match? If they go Sims, then that's going to be like high maneuverability. If they go Fletcher, then fuck anti-aircraft is going to be right out the ass.
Yeah,
Like, it's not going to be bad, but anti-aircraft on a Fletcher is actually really good.
So the problem that I see is that what they're gonna do is because it's a naval, it's only gonna be in the water, so it's only gonna be like, most likely they're not gonna do a whole like 5-mile stretch island to battle for. So it's gonna be like just the beachhead or a little bit inland of the beachhead. Like I'd expect a map like what I would like to see is a map of like Palu airfield.
Palu?
What they do is they'd fucking historically move it fucking right beside the coast. And then they'd spawn a battleship right there, or a destroyer right there. And pretty much what they do is
the airfield on
fuck
Palu
historically
wasn't
accuracy.
near. It wasn't near a coast though.
Yeah.
They had to go inland for that bitch.
Once again, they would completely fuck historical accuracy because that's like the one key point of the operation would be taking that airfield. So, I would see that, and then what I'd assume is that they'd have a naval strip out there, and they would call it a name where it would be like your Fletcher class. And from what you told me is that it's based on an AA dominance kind of ship. What they'd say is completely fuck that idea. They'd give it 3 guys. They'd give it a guy with a gun that has like a mortar capability, like the L class in Battlefield 1. Like a main cannon kind of battery.
Let me stop
an
you
AA.
right there real quick. Just give you a little insight of Fletcher. Fletcher had dual purpose 5-inch guns. That way they could use for anti-aircraft, or they could go for anti-aircraft to shore bombardment, anti-personnel, and just to fucking piss off battleships or cruisers. And they actually do damage. It had 5 of them on the ship, so you're gonna need, if anything, 5 to 7 or 8, because you need to have like 1 guy at anti-aircraft
But that's
and
not-
2 guys on.
It would be like illogical because if you think about it, in a 32 on 32, and they have 1 guy, they have 8 guys off their team on a boat. So like Battlefield wouldn't give you like an 8-man vehicle. So that's the problem. I don't see Battlefield give you, because their whole thing is that
if anything, they're going to combine
team.
2 weapons into like
So-
1 person spawns into a turret.
Yeah.
He pressed Y, and next thing you know, he's a torpedo man. If you're going to do
So I'd expect most
I'm expecting
likely,
that
like,
to happen. So if anything, if I'm going to run a Navy Milsim, I got to teach my guys gunner's mate and torpedo man for that kind of job.
And if you want, I don't know how this on the fleet was back then, but if you have aircraft carriers, you can technically train guys.
Aircraft carriers are going to be
pilots.
spawned, and we all know that.
Well, they're
But,
not gonna-
so
you're
I
not
mean, I
gonna
think
see
we,
them
I
as
think
a
we all
spy
agree
post,
there
so
is
I doubt that
potential
they're gonna do
for. I think there is potential for for a Navy team. That being said, it'd be a limited potential, and as Legend
It'd be more of
said,
an attachment to a unit.
that.
it'd be an
Here's the thing, though.
Let's
With
jump
fortifications,
topics though.
you could see
because
CBs coming up.
I mean, yeah, you could have CVs exactly. Let's jump topic though, because we want to speak on what we know as a fact versus what we speculate. All this conversation could actually be for null if Battlefield decides, you know what, fuck naval warfare. And we
go
hope
up to
they
dice
won't,
and
but there's
kick
always
their
potential that they could. We never know. So let's speak of what we do know.
Oh, fight!
And I want to get
I
on
want to
to
include
the
one thing real
topic.
quick
Go ahead.
What's up, Sam?
before we go too far. So I mentioned earlier about the whole grand operations thing, how we used to go on Battlefield 3. And what we used to do is look up server numbers that were empty. Remember this, Chase?
That
during the
sucked
first days
because
of
they always
Battlefield
guaranteed
3.
you at least have 6 to fucking 10 randoms because you couldn't get the enemy team
Right.
in fast enough.
That was a problem, but point being is that we used to look up empty servers and we used to have their number attached at the end of it, and then we used to say in a mass message at the same time, everyone join this server number X, whatever it would have been, and we would have, kind of made do. Granted, I think it would have been kind of shitty
That
in the
was
event
a
we
fun
wanted to
party
do
chats even too.
that too. Granted,
Rough
it
days.
was they're probably better for like scrims or like scenarios, an actual battle to
Yeah, like
things that are more
like I
organized.
declared war on you battle, but like a simulation.
I mean,
Yeah.
we did that because
If you want to put
back
the
then
effort
there
into
was
it,
no
it
such
could
thing as a
work.
private server, and that's what we had to do that. Nowadays that we know private servers exist, most sims are more better suited to sit on Battlefield 4 and 1 and wait for private servers than they are to go and try to, milk out a server from the fucking public matches. That's just the reality.
Talking about servers, how long do you think it will be from launch to
Battlefield
it took
before people
Battlefield
could actually
3.
get their own
It took them
servers.
2
5
years
months.
or some shit,
Battlefield
right?
1 took
Battlefield
5
1 took
months.
5 months.
So I
Do
would
you
have
think
to
that
say
DICE is gonna get a little quicker on that? considering
shorter
how
because it gets
took 5
shorter.
months?
So I think, I expect the first 2 months just to be fucking blasted with patches as they balance the game, obviously, and fix servers. So I wouldn't expect anything until at least 3 months into the game. So what's the release? October. I wouldn't expect to see servers until probably early January. Of 2019. So
Because I could bet you
it's
that
gonna be a problem.
BFV releases, like, it's gonna be early in the year. If people aren't saving up now, they should start. I mean, hell,
It's
if you want to earn a quick
It's October,
60
I
bucks,
believe.
yeah, if you want to earn a quick $60, I mean, shit, do what I did. I rip off people by mowing their lawns for $20 when I was a kid. You get that fucking money.
What are you getting
Go
at?
to go to pawn,
Getting the
like
game,
not pawn shop, but like GameStop, and just pre-order it, and that way you're saved. Or you could just wait for Christmas, get a gift card from grandma, go out and get it. Or just ask your
Yes.
parents, or I don't know. Fuck
mean,
it.
The way of getting the game isn't really a process. I mean, Milsim's vary in age. I've seen
Well,
people in 1FR
yeah, it's
40
not a
years old. I've
process,
seen people
but
in 1FR
people
that
are
are
gonna,
like 15.
It's going to take time for one unit to.
Oh yeah, it's gonna take time to
process
get
over,
an entire
'cause
team over
everyone's
there,
gonna
because
have
there's
to
always
go
that
out
one
and get
guy
it.
who's like, he's gonna drag his feet for it. But for initial release, Milsim on Battlefield 4 will pretty much just be you
It'll
and
be
your
dead.
guys getting in a pub server. Like there won't
It
be
won't
any
be
foreign. You won't be able to do any foreign policy because you won't have a private server off release. I doubt they will, because we already learned DICE fucking eats ass when it comes to its servers. So I don't expect DICE to just drop the game and be like, "Don't worry, guys, we got working servers and we got working private servers. Let's go at it."
That'd be the day.
Not gonna fucking happen.
I always failed
I mean,
every time for a launch. You guys already
also,
know.
there's one
just
thing
so
I
you know,
wanted
the
to
first
talk
5 days
about.
aren't gonna work.
There's one thing I wanted to talk about. You
What's up?
mentioned that DICE was like pretty much taking a shit on historical accuracy. We all know it's like you pre-order the
History,
game,
yeah.
you get the beta code, and you do it. They're gonna ask you your opinions. Now, if enough people go off, say, "Hey,
No, it's hopeful.
why the fuck can't you do like be accurate when it comes to historical shit?" You get enough
You want to
people
know why
do
that's
that
not going
shit,
to work
boom.
out? I can already tell you why. You want to know why? Because DICE's CEO himself tweeted, "If you don't like it, don't buy it." Is what he said. So they've already made a
Send me a
firm
link
stance.
to that.
They're
I'll
allowing.
see it.
I'll have to. But they've already made a very firm stance that they're going to keep their game as entertaining as possible, as flashy as possible. They said this is our twist on Battlefield 5. They said. Now I wouldn't care about them having a twist on World War II. So be it. Because as I said, it's kind of funny. As much as we hate on the fact that they have all this historical inaccuracies, like the women and shit, and the arms, it also represents something. So even in Arma, right? Even in Arma, the Golden Land that everybody fucking loves to fucking worship in reality sucks. But even in Arma, with all those flashy, nice uniforms and realistic as it gets, there's also jackasses running around in nun outfits and MG4s. All right, it's just the reality of video gaming. People fucking suck. That's just the reality of video gaming. All right. So the thing is, if Milsims control themselves and control their men and say, no, we're not going to tolerate you looking like a retard, you're not allowed to deploy, and if officers, good leaders, actually control their men, and the community controls itself, you will see everything we feared not exist in reality. Very realistic looking uniforms, because people, all they got to do is just do the research, see, oh, the 101st Airborne Division wore this, oh, the so-and-so Wehrmacht Division wore this, and shit like that, and it'll be very realistic.
The fucking Mohawks,
it's just
man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I'm slightly jealous of 101A. They can rock that shit. All right, because
The only thing that I really want to see is a Volksturm team. I want to see the People's fucking Army, where it's literally
Just
just like
straight
old
wheelchairs and
people and
rocket
fucking
launchers.
kids and shit. I just want to see
Wheelchairs
like,
and rocket
that is,
launchers.
I just
like,
had a
I'll be okay
question
if someone
pop
kills
up
me with
in my
like
head.
in a wheelchair if their team is like the Volksturm. Like, I'll chuckle a little bit. But I'll be like, you know what? Good for you, because I mean, at that point they're scraping the fucking bottom of the barrel. They're like, shit.
Yeah.
Who
But
can
you
fight?
know what's
You
not
hold a
Let's
acceptable
see
rifle.
Hitler Youth in here too, one as well.
Yeah, well, what's not acceptable though is you're going to see individuals who are wearing heinous colors like bright neon or whatever, or some random ass shit, or some guy's like, oh, I'm a shot down bomber pilot, or you're gonna see. That's where you need to control your men, control your milsims, and not have the heinousness. All right. When in doubt,
Well,
as I said in our little brief,
people
when in doubt,
not-
you want to
like,
go for
if
the
team
poor
leaders
look,
would not
the poor
fucking
weapons.
allow the dudes to go and like, if they're gonna do anything, they're gonna have a set camo. Like, what kind of camo can you wear?
The only country that had camo was Germany. The Americans utilized not
Fucking
even
olive drab
the
green.
yeah, they have olive drab green, and then they had that one marine pattern that they utilized at the end of World War II only on their helmets. The
You know
frog
there was
splatter, I think it's
Marines
called.
in Europe, right?
In Korea, they had camo. Yes, there was Marines. Yeah, 5 Marines in Belgium actually took on an entire division of Germans and won. True story. Look it up. All right. So everybody says
Actually,
Marines didn't do anything in Europe.
they didn't really
Um,
win. They did surrender though.
I said took on. I didn't say win. I said took on.
You just said win.
I said took on. Well,
I think
they
you might
held
have-
them long enough for. I might have said win, but whatever. It took on the German division long enough that the U.S. Army was able to move on them, and they eventually got defeated. But it was very impressive.
German officers like, where the fuck is the rest of you? This is it, man.
Um,
Bullshit.
I'll be happy. I'll be happy if like we say no women. My problem with the idea of that is that I'm not saying women didn't fight in the war at all, but the percentage of input they
The
did
limping
is
woman.
so small.
I mean, in
I
theory,
would
you
be
could have a
okay
French resistance unit
if a Russian sniper popped me and
or
like
Russian sniper.
it was
Yeah.
a woman, I'd be like, ah, okay. But if I'm like
Like
being
the-
crossed by like an army of
Straight-
female
a
Marines,
shock
I'm gonna be
trooper
like, what the
women's-
fuck is happening?
Yeah,
Fucking
one of
lionesses
our
and
this is the
shit.
best. Honestly, this is the best way to control it because let's just be realistic here in our demographic. Milsim's demographic, I would arguably say, is 95%, if not more, male to female. 95 to whatever. So one of ours is a rule where your character must look realistic as possible and also must reflect you. So men are not allowed to play as women. Actually, that's an NJPable offense in one of our because that's basically being a brony. You're weird. So don't play as a woman. If you're a man, you won't have a problem. And if you are a woman, make sure it's okay if your command plays a woman for whatever reason. So like your command had a reason for women in the field, as if you're Russian or partisan. But if you're U.S. Marine Corps, U.S. Army, you will never ever see a woman in the field in World War II. And that's a reality. Because you know why? Because we just started letting women in the field as fucking Lioness program like 5 years ago. All right, so you already know women weren't in the fucking field. So just control your personnel, and you won't have a problem.
Also,
That
uh,
also
the
goes
question-
that also
oh,
goes
shit.
with that also goes with diverse races. Maybe considered, not modern mentality in World War II. Unless you were that specific division, you really didn't see Africans in combat. You didn't really see Native Americans in combat. You didn't. The Japanese
What
were
about
segregated.
red tails?
So
Tuskegee.
all of them. I just said, yeah. Okay, yeah, and unless you're that specific airman, you were not just some casual black guy assigned to this all-white division, or you were not this casual, like, you had Navajo code talkers, but the Japanese Americans were their whole entire fucking battalion, they were
They
Oh,
didn't
secret.
get
shit.
most
Oh,
of them
yeah,
didn't even fight. They
almost
didn't even
forgot
allow
about
most
that.
of them
Yeah.
to fight in
Exactly.
There
Some
was-
didn't fight in
There
Italy.
was a unit, a U.S. Army unit in Europe that was pretty much
Yeah.
Japanese
dominantly
Americans.
Japanese Americans. And the thing
Yes,
is, I
it's
remember
like
the
449th.
story 'cause it was, yeah, something like
Drunk
that.
history.
They were actually like charging up
It's all
the
drunk
hills,
history.
like going bonsai and
Drunk
shit.
history.
Fucking Germans were like, "What the fuck's going on? I thought we were allied with these guys."
So ironically about that, I'm Korean. I enjoy Asian cultures.
God damn it, you told me
I
this
did a
like
lot of
10
research into
times.
this. Yeah. So I was watching actually a video about it, and a guy literally got placed in the unit, and before he shipped, he looked to his dad, and his dad was like, "America has provided us a home, a life, an education for you and your sisters. Whatever you do, do not dishonor this country." And he fought with pretty much the same ferocity that can be seen in the Imperial Japanese military as well. So they were extraordinary fighters. They fought through most of Italy. I believe they had a part in the Sicily campaign and the push on Monte Cassino as well. So
There, I want to say
if
there was like
someone
a
wants to do
wooded
that unit,
battlefield
by all
that they're
means,
in.
power
I
to
want
you,
to say
man.
Argonne or something. But I'm not sure.
What?
Because I know there was fighting in World War II in the Argonne, but I wasn't sure if there was them in there.
No, people don't understand that actually the Italy campaign went all the way to 1945. Like there were U.S. Army soldiers who went to Italy and never left Italy in the war. He would have done because we always look at like linearly where it's like, oh, it started in Africa, then Italy, then Europe, you know, and then multiple days of Europe, then Germany, shit like that. But in reality, once we landed on Italy, we never left Italy. Once we landed on Africa, we never left Africa. You know, troops didn't like some got rotated, sure, but many actually didn't. And the Japanese Americans went to Italy and stayed in Italy.
Yeah, my grandfather was actually drafted in '45 and went to Italy with the U.S. Army. So
My grandfather,
drafted, not
actually not my grandfather, but my
friend.
I want to say my great uncle or just uncle from my mom's side. He was actually a Navy Seabee during World War II.
That's tight.
Okay.
Cool.
And he actually got
my,
represented on a banner and for Memorial Day. He passed away a year or two ago.
That's unfortunate.
So on that note, I want to ask a philosophical question. All right.
Damn it.
Because we were talking about veterans and shit, and I feel something that's rising in the veteran community of Milsim is the I'm greater than thou, you know, because I did this and you didn't do that. So I want to ask this philosophical question. In World War II, we know for a fact individuals may not have gone to combat; they might have stayed stateside. If you met the individual and knew for a fact he didn't go to combat, would you say to him, "You're not a veteran"?
Oh fuck that no.
You would say he's a veteran, right? All right, second part.
He wore the
Second
uniform.
part. Second part. What happens if he was only in for 3 to 4 months because the war ended or the military didn't need him anymore? Would you still say he's not a veteran?
I'm at
This is a World War II.
I'm going to put my drink down
II.
real quick.
He's a guy from World War II.
Well, that's because
Alright.
That's because as a veteran, Squid, obviously you're not, but that's more of a you don't kind of rate thing. That's not the idea of him being a veteran, but like I understand where this question's already
Wait,
heading
hold on.
to.
Here's a question.
Yeah, no, that's
that
why I'm
few-
mentioning it.
Hold on, let me ask a question to your question. In those few months, though, did he fight?
No, we know for a fact this guy did not fight. He stayed stateside, did his duty stateside as the military required, and then they discharged him. We know this guy he's
I
like
wouldn't say
what,
he's
90,
a
100 years
combat
old by
veteran,
now.
but a veteran nonetheless.
He didn't say combat veteran. I said veteran. There's no difference between a combat veteran and a veteran. It's either you're a veteran or not, according to government. So is he a veteran or not, in your opinion, as a person who who is a military guy? What do you say?
Let me take a sip of this shit real quick.
So the reality is he is a veteran. The government considers it, and the world considers it. You may be impartial because you know where this is headed, but exactly, he did his time
though.
So why?
But, I mean, he
So
put
why
on
is
the
we
uniform and shit.
in the modern day? So why is we in the modern day make such a distinction that an individual has to go to combat to be a veteran? It's a philosophical question. They don't. They're a veteran. You know, and the reason I brought this up is because somebody said, you know, Chase your stolen valor. So I brought that up.
And
No,
you're watching the stream chat. I seen that.
Yeah, and that's why I brought
that's the
that
guy
up.
that's
is
trolling,
because
though.
if an individual doesn't matter. It's a common theme in Milsim where I'm greater than thou because I did this and you didn't do that. That's a common theme in Milsim, and it's very toxic. Even in the military career, it's very toxic. It's a problem for our military because it's causing a lot of people to leave. It's causing a lot of people to not like the military because they have this "I'm greater than thou" mentality. The military used to be about service. Now it's about literally social status. You know, and I wanted your philosophical mentality on what makes a veteran. And I agree if you want to say if you put on the uniform and you do your time, no matter what time that is, no matter what you do, then you are a veteran. So I think the community would be well reminded to know that. If you serve, you serve. Doesn't matter what you did. Doesn't mean you're better than anybody else. Doesn't mean if you did this long and did this long. Doesn't matter. It's crossing that border, and once you've crossed that border, you've done it. You are a veteran. You know.
You signed that motherfucking contract.
Not even. I'd say it would be a little bit different. I'd say once you pass the training, maybe. No, actually, contract is fair enough because the Army actually gives you your rank when you sign your contract, not when you go to training. So yeah, when you sign that contract saying you will serve your country, you are a veteran.
Hey, if you got the ball, do it. Power to you.
Yeah. So I think the community should be reminded of that.
Can I still call you a boot?
Just think on that.
Yeah.
Everybody's
I
somebody's
mean, both of us are E3.
Everybody's
we're
somebody's
E3s,
boot.
though,
Yeah, but everyone.
I got
Because think about it,
seniority
Squid,
and
you
rank,
served
though.
3 years. You served 3 years. There's people out there that served 8. I know
I got
vets
4.
from I believe the 21st.
When did you
German,
enlist,
whatever.
Squid?
I got to boot. I enlisted like the day before I went to
What year? I don't care what day. Just like what year?
2010. I shipped out the boot camp
2010,
July
okay.
12th, 2011. Graduated September 9th, 2011.
But yeah, I mean,
Actually,
you
I
logically
actually
think
finished
about
up
it.
my I finished up my IRR this year.
Nice.
I'm free
I
now.
suppose.
Yeah. So
God damn it!
this
I
is
want a
philosophical.
fucking war.
Let's move topics now to well, I'm trying to stay in the Battlefield 5 theme. We like to
Mindset,
go in
yeah.
tangents here. Let's go into some of the cons of Battlefield 5 I mentioned, especially the Sturmtiger and the V1 rocket. I know there's a lot of it kind of broke my speech actually because you guys had so much to say about that. And so let's talk
You
on
do
that.
debate it. You talk
Prototypes,
about that. If you mention
prototypes, you know, shit
and,
like that.
if they ask for your opinions on like what do you think they could do better at,
Well, that's like
mention
that's like the point.
the
I don't care
V1
if Battlefield
rocket
has
and
it.
try to convince them. Like, look, I understand what you're trying to do.
Like
but,
they're going
like,
to keep it. There's no change. I don't know
don't
why
make,
you
like-
think like you believe in the system of changing them. It's not
Well,
going to
no,
change
like
them.
the
Because the thing is Battlefield wants explosiveness. They want that. Those rare items and shit.
If I've
they
learned
want you to
anything
use that.
from
like the
from
V1 could
playing
bring down an
console
apartment
and
complex
PC.
in Britain. Like
Yeah,
one
and the
section of the
reality is,
street.
and
It
that's cool.
wasn't that big.
In
That's like a
public
fucking
matches,
Moab.
That's cool. The thing is, though, in public matches, that's cool, though. Like, they're all for it. But we're talking Milsim here, so, I mean, really, it's not a problem as long as Milsim controls themselves. You know? And in public matches, go for it. That's cool. Sturmtiger, cool. It's cool to see that rare-ass vehicle that never fucking saw combat, except for Metal Berlin, the only one, you know, being in every match. That's cool, whatever. But, it's gotta be as Milsim control ourselves. We should never see a V1 rocket implemented. We should never see, you know, we should never see a Sturmtiger implemented and shit like that.
Even looking at that scale, like that bothers you. What bothers me is the idea that they are like, we're gonna put the fucking Tiger in the game. Just to give you like odds of Tiger versus Allied powers and tanks. Fucking when they pushed on Khan after D-Day, they ran into 4 Tigers and got repelled by 4 Tigers. In literally like half an hour of combat, they lost 18 Shermans to 4 Tigers. Like, there's no reason
The
at
one
all
weak
that
spot on
a
the Tiger
should
though is on the back though.
like, yeah, like,
Weak
there's
spot
no
of
Well, as
reason
with any
is
tank,
just-
really.
It wasn't that common.
at all that first off, it's not as common, and that armor in that game, what they picked to put in that game, if they hit each other, like let's say the Churchills are battle, like MBT, Tiger, MBT. There's no reason they should hit each other and both light each other for 35% damage. There's no fucking reason. Like, the Sherman was commonly referred as the Ronson, which was a German lighter at the time, because it ran on petrol fuel and was would fucking catch fire with like a single hit. Like, there's no reason that an 88 should not just split a fucking Sherman right down the fucking
What
middle.
if what if they
like,
bring in
single shots, ammo
Sherman
racket or fucking
Firefly?
fuel racket.
Firefly's not even
If they have-
is it in the game.
What
They haven't
what if they
confirmed
bring
it yet.
we
I
haven't
would
seen
assume
any
is that it'd be
Sherman's
like-
in-game footage, but what if they bring in the Sherman Firefly?
I really don't think they're gonna put the Sherman in.
I think they're gonna do
British.
what they'll do. What they'll do
Or
is
they're
they'll do
gonna
the
do
Sherman
Americans in Europe
for
and the
US.
Pacific, so,
Be
They
American.
do like the Sherman, and then I don't know what they do for like their light tank. They'll just be like, "Fuck it, we're gonna just
It'll
do
be a
the
Stewart.
Stewart."
It'll be a Stewart.
They had
Yeah.
a Greyhound. It was pretty
The
much
Greyhound wasn't a tank, it was armored car.
The
It-
Greyhound
yeah, it was
was
an armored
like
car. That was
an
like
armored
you
car.
could see that added in as a reconnaissance
I can't.
vehicle.
Because why's the Puma?
I can see it as like the Jeep.
Yeah, that's
can
pretty
see
much
that
what I'm
being
going. Like,
the MRAP,
maybe
like, to kinda
it'll
fit
fit
the
like
role of
what
the MRAP.
4 guys.
Because they have kit
Yeah,
trads.
I could see
Which is
that.
like the bike.
Because so what I would
No,
assume
you're gonna have
they
the
would
half
do-
tracks. No, you're gonna have half tracks. You're gonna have mod deuces.
Oh yeah,
I
there's
guess.
no, there's no doubt about.
Because you've
Marcus
already
is a
seen the
half
Germans
tracks.
already have the KDFZ 223 or whatever the fuck. No, it's like 221, the fucking half track that's open. They already have that. It's confirmed. MP42
Yeah,
top.
I've seen
So
the
they're going to use half tracks
inside
as
of
MP42.
that.
See, that's where it's fucked. If I was making this game, that half track would have an 88 in the back.
Well, here's
That's
here's
awesome.
another thing.
Wasn't very common.
Like, we all know that there's different variants of the half track. We all know that there's an anti-aircraft version of the half track with the.
Oh, without a doubt. No, because you already know how they did.
Do you
the
think that they're
vehicles
gonna
in,
add that as a
Battlefield
variant?
1, where they're gonna have Yeah, so the Sherman, what they'll do is the Sherman won't be, it'll be the Sherman, and then depending on what variant you will get, it'll be like the Firefly variant, where like,
That'd be
that's a bigger
ugly. If it's
gun.
American,
Firefly
Or
actually had a better
what they'll
cannon
do-
on it.
that was British.
Yeah. What they'll do is they'll add variants like that where the visuals will change, so they'd have like, because the chassis were so similar, then what they'll do is they'll do, like, for Americans, they'll probably do the Jackson, or like the Wolverine, Hellcat, something around that. And then the Sherman would be like
I
your
can
other
see the
variant.
Wolverine.
So you'd have like a
being the
specific
other
tank
variant.
fighting. Yeah. You'd have like a specific tank v tank, and then like an infantry support element, which would just be like the basic Sherman, which would probably have a pivot mounted, 30 cal on top, and then the bottom would have, the chassis mounted 30 cal as well, or whatever they mounted on the
Do
inside.
you think they're going
going
to do a DDA and
Something else.
BFE?
I would expect to see it as a grand operation. But for like, so like, grand operations have like a grand operation map where it's kind of a
It was
little
like
bit different
15
because how
minutes. It was
the
like
side
really-
tacks are. And then what I would see would be, obviously because Omaha had the highest casualties. So
They're
that's the
gonna-
beats that they would choose.
Yeah, they could do.
But for the base map, when you're playing on the base map, what I would expect it'd be you fighting for like the gun emplacements. So it'd be like right as soon as you get off the beachhead, and you're fighting for like the gun emplacements and the places behind it. Is what I would expect to see if it was a map. I wouldn't expect the base map to
on
have
that
one
note,
team
though.
spawn on the fucking trench or beaches and one team to spawn,
I hope
on
they actually do where you full landing. But on that note, though, I really
wish.
I will give Call of Duty World War II this credit. All right, it's a trash game overall. Don't get me wrong. It fucking just insults everything you know about history. But in their war mode, which has like some fucked up version of D-Day on it, they don't include deaths in those operations. This is not counted. They don't penalize you. And that's something I would highly recommend for a D-Day map, because if you only have 32 players having to represent thousands of soldiers to break the D-Day wall, you're going to need to forgive deaths.
I think Omaha was
Because
like
it's
about
gonna be a reality.
300,000, or I mean not 300,000, 3,000 casualties on Omaha, I want to say.
Yeah, so you're going to
I
have to
don't
forgive
even think it
deaths.
was. Wait, yeah, was it that much on D-Day for Omaha?
I think it was somewhere. It was pretty up there. I'm not exactly
That being
positive.
said,
Maybe
I already know
that
they're
might
not
be
gonna
all
do it.
of like the landing invasions.
I already know they're not
but
going
let me
to
go
do
look
D-Day
it
though,
up.
because they've already said they're going to focus on the hidden history of World War II. Basically, PC, oh, a woman served here, so let's make a fucking entire DLC about that, kind of mentality.
Oh fuck that! They're
you
just
might see
gonna drop
resist-
sale. It's just
Well-
like fucking Battlefront.
Well, you already know the main campaign's about two lesbians. You think I'm kidding? Go look at the trailer.
That's Last of Us.
I mean, serious. It's about two lesbians. One got captured by the SS or whatever, so the other one like becomes like some fucking, Far Cry style war hero hunting for a fucking fiance lover thing.
Omaha beach invasion, by the way, was 2,000 to 5,000 casualties.
Omaha has too mainstream history. They're not going to do it. It's not about lesbians.
All I know is that for just going back to the brief overall cast of the game and how it's going to pan out.
Armada just said
I know it's not
in the
really
chat,
Milsim.
Operation Market Garden is rumored to be a map.
That would be cool if you fight for like Arnhem and the bridgeheads. That'd be pretty cool. Especially if they make it where you actually deploy from an aircraft. Like one team, the attacking team for the grand operation, deploys from an aircraft. That'd be
But
amazing.
you gotta remember though, Market Garden was a failed operation.
That's a thing that I wanted to bring up. I hope that they're not super biased where it's just like U.S. victory, like that's all the maps are like Allied victory, Allied victory, Allied victory. Because I don't think people recognize that the Allies spent like the first couple of years of the war getting their shit kicked in. Like
In Europe, but in the Pacific, we were kicking.
like
ass
I know
by
the Russian
bombings.
campaign. The Russian campaign is if they don't do fucking Russia getting pushed back and it's only the Russian steam like this fucking steamroller just going through, I'm gonna be kind of mad to be honest.
Well, the Russians did get pushed back to, or just
They
about
got,
outside
yeah, they got
of
kicked into Moscow. They were about 13 miles outside Moscow or something.
Then once Stalin got word from his top spy in Japan, saying
Japan that they were going to attack, they rushed
Japan's
the
not
fucking
gonna
Siberian
Russia.
troops,
Yeah, they rushed everybody
and
from
they stood up
Siberia.
outside Moscow in winter with Siberian trained troops that just fucking railed the German advance.
It's like, yep, those fuck.
Another thing that bothers me about the game too is that once again it's a war, so they don't accurately depict the abilities of each nation's manpower and assets. Like once they move their factories away from the war zone, Russia was pumping out like 2,000 tanks a month. Like, but in the games you're gonna spawn in with every team gets the same amount of tanks, same amount of air assets, shit like that. Same with same amount of manpower. Like Germany had like 6,000 or 6 million men to like Russia's 13 million or some shit like that. Like, there's gonna be small things that bother me. But I really hope they go back to the just overall glance at the game. Is more of just not Milsim, but just how I'd like to see the game. Would be the campaign kind of like Battlefield 1's campaign, where it's just stories, so you're not just preset into like a single linear campaign. So if they do like stories, that'd be tight. Like I'd be completely okay with like D-Day plus like 15 like BattleCon, all that kind of good shit. Say Marilou or whatever, Merlot. Those would be great to see. Obviously,
go in France
Italy
and kick
campaign
Vichy
would be great.
France's ass.
I can already tell you right now, because once again they want to do all this spousal shit. What they're gonna do is they're gonna have a British campaign in Burma, where you're gonna be like the British, pretty much guerrilla warfare fighters against Japanese in the Burmese jungle. So, expecting some crazy weird shit like that to happen.
Yeah. It would be kind of cool if they did the Battle of the Java Sea. It was pretty much the old 4 Piper destroyers and old cruisers, like the most modern cruiser.
If we don't,
I believe the USS Houston, and they do that. They all went against the fucking battle fleet of Japan, the IJN.
That's actually probably the best thing you're gonna get, is because Battlefield 1 did that entire air campaign. You're gonna get an entire Navy campaign, probably.
Probably then, yeah. Well, it was pretty much like the whole thing was like, all right, they went out, met the enemy, lost some ships, went back, went out, went back. Fuck. I listened to the whole.
If Marines don't get
flamethrowers,
if flamethrowers are only pick-upable weapons, I'm gonna be fucking livid.
I don't know, it probably would, but like if you're gonna like, you would have Shermans to have flamethrower variants, so you got that.
Yeah. But I'm not a tanker. I'm infantry CO.
Well, suck it the fuck up and get in the goddamn tank.
That's not allowed for me.
I mean, the most surprising thing you could probably see, like, if they include Jap armor.
Jap armor was like significantly outclassed. They had like really light tanks.
Yeah, it was pretty much like.
So I don't know what they're gonna do for like an MBT. Well, a lot of countries went into the war believing that tanks should be infantry support vehicles, and Germany was like, "Why don't we put all of our tanks together and see what happens?" And I think we can tell from how at one point they had, pretty much all of Europe under control, and it worked out pretty fucking well.
Yeah, until their Axis partner and fucked everyone by bombing us.
Yeah, it's just because Italy sucks out shit of war. Oh.
Well, no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not talking about Italy. I'm talking about Japan bombing us.
I was talking about how Italy's campaigns are
the
literally just like
call.
Fuck Germany and Europe. I don't know. A lot of historians like to say everyone always thinks that U.S. coming into the war was like the game changer, but a lot of people like to believe that even without U.S. intervention, that just the Russian manpower and ability to produce, like their production rate, would have just ultimately steamrolled the German Reich, like out without a doubt. It would have probably taken longer, but
if Russia, if it was just Russia, then you could see the entirety of Europe behind the Iron Curtain.
Yeah, obviously yes, but what I'm saying though is that Russia, I don't think Russia would have had a problem with taking out Germany, with or without U.S. help. Because pretty much all we did was just sell jeeps.
They would have ran into supply problems because their fucking supply lines and defensive lines would have been stretched very thin, if they went all the way to fucking the border of Spain. With the exception of Switzerland, because Switzerland fucking declared neutrality to the whole thing.
Must be really nice to have been Switzerland the entire war, just hanging out and being like, wow,
Fucking
the entire world's going to shit.
watching
This
the
is
planes
nice.
fly by, fucking collecting gold and shit. I'm interested in what seeing what they're gonna do. Like if they're gonna do Pacific Theater, you're gonna see the U.S. obviously, but you're also gonna see Australians. I'm interested
That's where
in
you're
seeing
fucking
what they're
wrong.
gonna do.
If we learn anything from Battlefield 1, they're gonna show they're not even gonna be U.S. Marines in the game. They're actually just gonna have New Zealand troops. Remember, you have to be
Fuck that,
special.
man. We're not.
You have to be special. Think about it. Battlefield 1, they were
There's
like, yeah,
not
we're
gonna be a
campaign based on,
goddamn
like, New Zealand
participation
troops.
trophy.
You forgot, Dice is
On who?
a little bit of a bitch sometimes.
He's saying that they're fucking.
Who's getting a participation trophy?
I don't fucking know.
It's
New
fucking
Zealand,
New
I guess.
Zealand.
They did a lot in World War II.
Yeah, they did a lot, but what I'm saying though is
A
that what they're gonna do is they're gonna be like, well, they once again fielding manpower, anything can help through the war effort. But like, you're always gonna see specialists. You're not like if France gets added to the game, it won't be France. It'll be like partisans.
It'll be fucking Vichy France, if anything.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
Fucking Vichy France.
I'd play with Vichy France. I'd do it.
Ugh.
Are there any other questions before we start dismissing this? Because now we're just into speculation.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I mean, there's
We're
not
just
really a
shit now.
question. We got rid of that one numbnuts that was. These
One of our good
ends
shit like
ain't
that, dude. We
loyal.
didn't get phased by it.
Well, he got banned from
We got
the.
phased.
He got banned from the fucking Twitch. Like we said in the Twitch chat, we welcome all, but our patience with you will only go so far.
Agreed.
And just like how that dude in the chat was acting, when you act like that, bye.
So
Doolittle's married will be an awesome
I'ma
role
thank-
story though.
yeah, I would. I'm gonna thank Eminem for hosting us. It was good to come talk. I'm gonna let y'all keep doing all you want to do. Sandman and Senpai, but I do need to be getting moving on. I got research to do tonight.
Oof.
So thank you for hosting us. Just to reiterate, the point of one of our presence here and the discussion and everything was after reviewing Battlefield 5 what we've seen, again, subject to change because we could play the game and find out, LOL, it's all fake. Who knows? Based on what we've seen, it has great potential for Milsim. It's just important that Milsims control themselves and play realistically. Alright? And if they do that, then it has great potential to be Milsim. So yeah, I just really hope people do that.
Play
Again,
the beta.
to be Milsim, you have to follow definition. You gotta honor the military. You gotta emulate the military. You gotta teach the history and culture. You gotta be it. You can't just play tactically to be Milsim. You gotta do the above and the beyond to be Milsim, and do that, and you'll be great. All right. So I'm gonna leave you with Legend and Sandman now. I gotta get going in my life. Thank you everyone for having us,
Yeah.
and
Anytime.
have a good night.
Alright, alright. Yeah, it's kind of funny that this was supposed to be 3 work. Press
Never showed
the
up.
only fucker here.
Whatever, that just means more information for you to put out, more people looking at it, and
Oof.
more followers. I think you guys are at like 1,000, right?
Actually, hold on, let me check that. We are close to breaking a new record.
I'd like to see a Folsom Jaeger team. That'd be cool too.
Wait, what?
Folsom Jaeger, German paratroopers. Alex
yeah.
was nicknamed
We
Green Devils
are-
because of their uniforms, and they were obviously very ferocious troops.
797 followers as of right now.
I think that
What
Wasn't on
I've
2K.
actually been, I actually been thinking about doing this. Like if we hit close to, like if we about to hit 2,000, like I might do a giveaway, like a drawing to see who wins like a $20 gift card
Or just do a drawing for like Battlefield 5. I don't know how like financially settled you are, so.
Well,
But,
fuck my.
I mean, obviously that'd
job
be
at
like the big focus.
My job at the furniture warehouse sucks ass. Luckily for me, though, I actually got an interview at the post office Monday. So.
Yeah, are you gonna be one of the drivers?
Oh fuck no! I'm gonna be like a window clerk. $16.58 an hour.
I have an interview, Macy's Distributor Center.
Yeah,
But it pays
let me
$12
go ahead.
an hour.
Let me end this stream real quick. Fucking, we're getting way off
Before we
topic.
start saying this shit too much.
Fucking turn into YouTube poop. But anyway, quick shout out to everyone who's watching. Thank you for tuning in to tonight's stream. Thank you for taking time out of your day. Sad that ESMN and TMN could not be here. I was actually looking forward to seeing Ferris and whoever runs TMN now. Anywho, catch you later. Expect to see this on YouTube shortly.